I used to like John Oliver. I still do, but knowing what I know now makes it a bit difficult for me to take him seriously anymore. But he did present me with an opportunity to demonstrate how privileged people in the West talk about shit they have no understanding of, as if they are masters of the universe and they know everything there is to know. See, in his segment from a month ago about the war between Israel and Hamas, he tried to prove that Hamas does not represent all Palestinians. Which, by the way, I would definitely agree with. That, yeah, Hamas definitely doesn't represent all Palestinians. Unfortunately, they do seem to represent a lot of them.
معظم رياض الأطفال تابعة لأخواتنا في حركة المقاومة الإسلامية حماس، فعندما نجد أنه الأطفال منذ الصغر يتربين على هذه الثقافة، فتنمى عند الأطفال منذ الطفولة حب الجهاد وحب.
مهندس؟ ليش بدك تصير مهندس؟ عشان أفجر اليهود.
هذا الطفل الصغير هل بالفعل يعني أنتم جئتم به حتى توصلوا رسالة لحماس أن أطفالنا أيضا معكم في هذه الذكرى؟
أنا جيت فيه عشان أعلمه من صغره حب حماس، حب كتائب القسام، وأولادي صغار حزرع فيهم من صغرهم حب حماس. لو إيش ما عمل اليهود ضدها وإيش ما عمل الوطن العربي ضدها، إحنا معها لو إيش ما جرى إلها.
رسالتي لكل أم فلسطينية أن تحث أبنائها على الجهاد.
Oliver claimed that Hamas was elected in 2006, supposedly before even many of the people of Gaza were alive. But that's kind of a crap argument when you have news media outlets telling us day in and day out that Hamas's popularity is rising everywhere amongst Palestinians, especially after the 7th of October atrocities. See, this is part of the left's madness and blindness, and again, I say this as someone who is mostly on the left. And if you are a leftist, then you have trained yourself to believe that all humans can be reasonable and good at heart. And you find it hard to believe in societies that value atrocities and cruelty as a group. So Oliver, not able anymore to say that Hamas is not a psychotic terror organization that committed unbelievable atrocities, is breaking his back with gymnastics trying to prove that the Palestinian population does not support them or what they did. The problem is, the Palestinian population absolutely supports them and what they did. Not all, of course. Within 5 million people, you have children, you have people who would prefer to reach a peaceful resolution with Israel, you even have people who do not want peace, but still wouldn't have committed such atrocities as what we saw on the 7th of October. Of course you do. But as a whole, the majority of people, in every survey, in every interview, on social media, everywhere you look, support both Hamas and the atrocities they have committed. Because, and this is going to be a shock to Westerners, so brace yourselves, the Palestinians are not Western. They are Middle Eastern. And, get ready for another shocking revelation, not all cultures of the world follow Western values. Middle Easterners didn't go through the Renaissance. They didn't have a humanist revolution. They don't follow the values that Westerners follow. And because of the condescension and self-absorbment of the West, Europeans and Americans have trouble understanding that. A few years back, there was this Palestinian reporter working for the BBC, and they were forced to fire her because they discovered that she said on Twitter that Hitler was right. And while I was happy that she was sacked for it, I also a tiny bit felt a little bit bad for her, because I know that from her perspective she didn't do anything wrong. See, Palestinians don't view Hitler as a negative character. Middle Easterners don't think genocide is necessarily a bad thing. That's why the Palestinian Mufti actually met Hitler, and the two promised to help each other getting rid of the Jews. And I bet not many of the people watching this video and Mr. John Oliver himself can tell me even what a Mufti is. So yeah, supporting Hitler and supporting the atrocities that Hamas had done is a common thing amongst Palestinians. Sorry, John Oliver, that's just reality. But then we get the moment that is the most revealing. The most revealing of just how white and how clueless John Oliver is. He shows us this video footage of one of the heads of Hamas giving an interview in the early 90s or early 2000s. And he gives the interview in English, and he's saying that we are not a radical movement. And Oliver wants you to believe that this is why Hamas won the elections in 2006, because they presented themselves to the Palestinians as moderate. And I can tell you, there's no Middle Easterner, regardless of their religion, that doesn't laugh at John Oliver about this moment in his segment. For two reasons. First, everybody in the Middle East knows that there's a difference between what you say in English to the outside world and what you say to your own people in your own language. When Israelis want to learn what the Palestinians' intentions really are, we don't listen to the interviews they give to the CNN or BBC. We listen to what they say to each other in their speeches on their TV in Arabic. And when they want to know what Israeli intentions are, same thing. They would not listen to what we say in English. They would listen to what we say in Hebrew in our own media. Everybody knows that. Everybody does that in the Middle East, and everybody knows that everybody does it and that everybody knows it. If you have a Middle Eastern friend right now next to you, you're probably looking at them and you're asking, is that true? And if they're honest, they'll be like, yeah, kinda, yeah. No Palestinian, or Israeli for that matter, would have taken seriously anything that a Palestinian leader says in English to the outside world. And it's adorable how clueless John Oliver is, that he thinks that, oh, just because this guy says it in English, we are not radical. That must be what he told his own people as well. God damn, Westerners are sometimes so cute it's aggravating. And the second point is that moderation does not give you political points in the Middle East. Quite the contrary. Middle Eastern cultures are not Western cultures, and it's quite racist to try and ignore those differences. Moderation for a Middle Easterner is a sign of weakness. Look at the Middle Eastern countries. Look at the leaders. Everyone is a general or something to do with the military, or has some kind of a hardline position on pretty much anything and everything. That's how the Middle East works. That's why wars in the Middle East are so brutal. So no, Hamas did not win the elections in Gaza in 2006 because they were perceived as moderated, but because they were perceived as more radical than the Palestinian Authority. Which is why I say to John Oliver and all white privileged people, when you are talking about the Middle East, maybe humble yourself a little bit. You probably don't know the cultures, you don't understand the politics, and you don't know what the fuck you are talking about. Or at the very least, find someone who speaks Arabic and Hebrew so you can get a fuller picture. Or better yet, and I know that's a bit of a stretch for someone like John Oliver, who is used to think that he pretty much owns the planet and knows everything there is to know, maybe you can shut the fuck up about things you don't know shit about. Because you're doing more damage than you even realize. You don't have to have an opinion about everything. You don't know everything. Sit down, be quiet for once, and let us, lowly Middle Easterners, deal with our own issues ourselves.